Welcome to Unapologetically You, an authentic journey to healing.
The podcast where we dive deep into the raw, real, and transformative process of embracing your true self.
I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ashley. Join us as we share stories, insights, and practical wisdom to help you heal, grow, and live unapologetically.
Whether you're on your own healing journey or simply seeking inspiration, this space is all about embracing authenticity without fear or shame.
It's time to make a move from your relationship
to a relation shift.
We are back for our second episode on Unapologetically You. And this is an important episode because it's on self-love.
Absolutely. Yeah. Much needed, right?
Yes, needed, but also I think the most difficult. I was just talking with someone about this morning. It's probably one of the most difficult things that we work on throughout our entire life. It's not like that acceptance and grace. And one of the things that we'll talk about is forgiveness for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's dig into that first. So we want to go over what self-love is. We want to talk about negative self-talk.
Yes, and give you some tips on how to create self-love in your life.
Yes. So let's start that. Let's grasp that concept of self-love. We have love for other people. We have forgiveness for other people. We can have grace for other people. However, we cannot seem to have that for ourselves. So I feel like thinking about this, it stems back to, well, here's the thing. When we're born, we don't know what self-love is. We're born very innocent. We're born for you. I was thinking I remember clearly the very first time that I could remember ever getting in trouble or getting corrected or whatever it was. So I'm sure there were times prior to that I just don't remember. But the first time that I honestly remember getting in trouble, I had felt like just shame. And I had felt like, because here's the thing, it was my mother's opinion of what I did wrong. It was her talk that I was hearing. And I remember being like, thinking to myself, but I didn't do that on purpose. And I'm not like, I don't think that I'm bad, right? Because back then, I think that generation, if you did, you were bad. Oh. Like you sit there, I think even at that such a young age, you sit there and be like, but I'm not bad. But I don't think I did that. And I think it starts it's that first moment where all of a sudden you feel negative about yourself based on the words that someone else had told you.
And it's really based on, I also feel like their conditioning, right? Yeah. What somebody had once told them. Yes. That's why some of these things are generational.
Yes. Yeah. And hard to break because, again, our parents, their parents corrected them in certain ways, and then they bring that on. I think the plan is that we break those generational patterns, but it's difficult.
I feel like our generation, though, being more educated, having more resources, I feel like we're more the generation and generations to follow to start breaking a lot of those patterns.
Yeah.
They didn't have the resources that we have now.
I don't think it was talked about.
Right. And again, speaking of shame, I feel like the generations, many generations before us were more carried shame because that's how they were more brought up to, you had brought up in the one episode, be seen and not heard. Yes. Almost the not taking up space, right? Yeah. Where now the, concept is, it's okay to, you want to be humble, but it's also okay to, be proud of your accomplishments.
Yes.
To take up space.
Yes. Well, and to be able to have a voice and to speak. And again, I know the way that I was raised is you just accepted what was told to you. And you didn't speak back or you didn't voice your opinion or you didn't question. Right? So it was whatever, your parents thought you did wrong and however they corrected you, you just went with that and kept silent with that. So I think not having now kids.
Oh, it's different.
It's very different. They tell you,
is it
but
different, or are you parenting different? So your kids tell you because you're giving them that safe space to be able to tell you. So I have to believe not all kids are maybe as outspoken. Well, use your kids as your kids, but you're giving them that safe space where they feel safe enough to be able to be themselves with you, to be able to question things.
Yeah, and I think it's as you said, it's humbling because there are times in the midst of frustration where, you don't need to, you snap at your kids, like you're doing something and they're bothering you, and you're just like, oh my God, like, we lose our patience. I love in those moments that my kids feel free enough to be like, okay, you need to have a little patience, or you didn't have to raise your voice.
And they feel safe enough. And I think that is key. And, to really touch on the topic of self-love, it is, I think, the more self-love you even have for yourself, the more safety and security you create from within.
Yes.
And I'm going to kind of fire back to your statement when you were saying that sometimes we love others and then not give that love to ourselves.
Correct.
But I also feel like when we don't have real self-love for ourselves, it feels like we love others, but I really think it's sometimes a desperate need we have for others because we're kind of starving in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a need or a search for the love that we want for ourselves through other people.
Hoping to get it through other people. Yeah. Now, I do think that a man and woman relationship, or whether it's two women or two men, I do think that we all do need each other. I believe that. Yes. I believe that there is something to be said about that romantic relationship and that love between two people.
Yeah.
However, though, I think when you aren't filled and you come meet somebody and you come together, I think then it's more that like of a desperate need opposed to like a bonus in your life, or where you're celebrating the love you both have.
Yeah, yes. You're aware of the love that you have, and you have that love for yourself, and you're able to give that to others. And when that's missing, and instead you are searching for that love within the other person, but then continuously being disappointed because it's impossible for them to give you that stuff. You can't love yourself based on how someone else loves you.
And it's funny, I had read something not long ago that we give the love to others that we want for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I'm a very affectionate person. Right? Yes, and I'm very affectionate when I'm with someone. But I need affection, right? Yes. So to me, that's just like a normal for me to be an affectionate person.
Well, is that what comes
but
in?
It's really a need of
language. Yes. Your love language is, I think, what you are allowed.
So that's what you kind of are giving. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
So okay, Ashley, what is self-love to you?
I'm so glad you asked that, because
I feel like we all think of it different.
I think we do. So for me, it is acceptance of who I am, where I am, and the person what I am, how I treat others, what I do in my daily life. But again, the acceptance of my flaws, the acceptance of where I fall short sometimes, the acceptance of the things that I can't do. Okay. So it's more like, because I think those are the things that I think I beat myself up about. And it's fine that I want to change. I sent God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change.
The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference.
Yes, that's it. It is as simple as that. And I think if you can master that, you have mastered self-love. So that's what is yours.
I would say just the things I have learned along the way. For me, I would say boundaries of me really giving myself self-love is knowing when to say no.
Yeah.
Knowing to walk away from things that are just not good for me, and I'm still working on it, because I truly believe self-love is a practice. I think this is something, and you said it from the start, we're going for the rest of our life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for me, with self-love, it's also really learning to trust myself, that inner voice, and honoring that, and not second guessing it, and not always. It's good to take advice, but at the end of the day, bringing it back to myself and saying, okay, what is it that I need? Is this good for me?
Yeah. And not questioning yourself, not always questioning, Because again, I think the questioning of ourselves comes from the opinions of others. Like, am I being too emotional about this? Am I being too sensitive about this? Am I just like I'm just making a rash decision because that's what I do? Again, those are all the voices of other people that have told you
absolutely
you are these things, and that's where it comes back from the beginning. We are not born thinking these things of ourselves.
Right.
These are things that have been told to us throughout life. And again, I believe the first experience starts with our parents and what they say. It then continues on with our friends or friends that we, grade school, high school, you don't always keep those, you lose them. There's those arguments, so things are said. Your first relationships, all the way into the ones throughout life. All of these people, your employers.
Rejection. I mean, truly, because you throughout life, we all have rejections.
Yes. It is the environment, like you said, and it is the people in our lives that I truly believe give us the thoughts of ourselves. And where it's sad and what we have a hard time doing is blocking out those opinions. And if you have a strong self-love and acceptance of who you are, it shouldn't matter what anyone else says to you, because you already have this foundation of I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I'm going to make mistakes. I forgive myself. I give myself grace, and I love who I am. If I wasn't the person that I was, I wouldn't be on this like journey, experiencing the things that I'm doing, and having the different people that you surround yourself with that you do love.
Right.
So it's like, I think if we can have those thoughts on ourselves, then it wouldn't matter when you meet the person that says you're this, this, and this.
Right.
Great. I love your opinion.
Right. But what are some things that can help people have more self-love for themselves? So let's talk first about your definition, acceptance.
Acceptance.
How do you feel that we get to that place of acceptance within ourselves? And
that you have and what you say to yourself before you go to sleep, and what you say to yourself when you wake up sets the tone for the rest
absolutely
of your day.
It's planting seeds. Before you go to bed, you're planting the seed, and when you wake up, you are, I think, planting the seed for your day.
Yes. So again, if you're waking up to somebody and the first thing that they say to you is like, oh, well, you snored all night and you kept me up. Well, Jesus. Like, I don't want your negative self-talk first thing in the morning, right? So again, like I'm blessed enough to wake up to people that send me abundance quotes, or
like,
hey, this, like, have a great day, or like things like that. Like, those are, it starts your day. So going back to what you asked, how do you start with that acceptance? I think one of the things, stop comparing yourselves.
100%.
You cannot accept.
It's hard to do.
Yes.
But you have to make a conscious effort.
Yes. Stay off of social media if all you're doing while you're on there is looking to compare yourself to someone else's life, to the way someone else looks, because first of all, half the time it's fake. Or if you're trying to have some type of confirmation in who you are based on what you're seeing from other people. So that's the first thing.
Yes.
Stop comparing yourself.
And I'm going to add to that. It's funny. I was just having this talk with my daughter because she obviously is on YouTube and follows different people. And I always say to her, whoever you're following, ask yourself, are you getting something good out of it? Yeah. So I'm going to say the same to you. If you are on social media and you're scrolling, stop once in a while, be mindful, and ask yourself, what am I gaining from this? What am I getting from this? If it's something positive and inspiring, great. If you see it's bringing you down, then maybe that's something you either have to cut out or tweak a little bit.
Yeah.
Start noticing and become mindful of the things in your life that maybe are bringing you down.
Absolutely.
Or where you're comparing yourself.
And just because you see things on social media, or you see people looking a certain way, or dressing a certain way, or acting a certain way, those are society's norms. That does not mean that they're correct, though.
Right.
That does not mean that is the definition of who you are. That is not how God intended us to be. God did not, and of course, again, we've talked this before, whatever your belief is, God, whatever your source,
higher power,
whatever,
yes.
Mine is God. I don't believe God made me to compare myself to other people. He made me who I am, specifically and uniquely, for whatever purpose He has
and a unique image.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We all have different gifts
so
to share.
would you
But we all have gifts to share.
Yeah. So why would I diminish that by comparing myself to somebody else. God made me different on purpose.
There is a song, it's called God's Perfect Design. I just happened to kind of stumble upon it one day, and I swear this song gives me chills. And it's talking about what you're saying. We all have unique gifts to share. Don't compare yourself to others' gifts. Really kind of develop and find your own gifts and your own talent. And I think, again, that goes back to the really honoring yourself, loving yourself, finding your uniqueness and your flow. It might not be, me and Ashley don't have the same flow, but when we come together, it flows. It flows. But what I'm saying is you connect with then the people that you're meant to connect with when you're really being yourself, when you are being your authentic self.
I agree. Not being your authentic self. If you don't love who you are and bringing that to the table, you cannot by any means have a healthy relationship that is based on truth.
Right.
If you're trying to be somebody else, how is that person ever going to accept who you truly are? Because it's not sustainable. No. It's not sustainable to pretend to be what somebody else wants you to be.
And that's anxiety riddling.
Yeah.
You're not going to be at peace when you're being someone that you're not.
Yeah. We're all unique. We're all different. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't have this great talent, and I don't have this great purpose. Maybe your purpose is being a mother or a father. Maybe your purpose is being a great friend to somebody.
Absolutely.
Maybe your purpose is, maybe it is a great talent. Like we have people that have inspire and heal people through music and writing and all these things.
Absolutely.
Right. But that doesn't mean that somebody that doesn't do that is not just as special in their own way. And I think that's where right there is where if you can't understand that, you're going to have a really hard time finding true self-love for yourself.
Yes. So there is a talent in you.
Yes.
It's just really quieting your mind and honoring what you're feeling, and you will find it, I feel like.
I always say, think back to the things subtly that people said that they appreciate you for, or that you were good at.
Or what did you love when you were young? I have read that time and time again, and I've helped, go back to when you were young. What was it that really kind of lit your fire?
Yeah. We're so
right, and we repress it sometimes throughout the years. Yes. But if you can kind of go back and think of the things when you were young that really kind of lit up your soul.
I feel like we are born with that purpose and that understanding, and somehow, like you said, it gets pushed down and ignored,
repressed
by all the negative things. It's so. I was in a relationship once. And I remember this person saying, and it was kind of like a light bulb for me, because again, it's acknowledging and being accountable for your things within a relationship too. And they're like, you 100% remember every negative thing that I did, and you 100% remember every bad time, like it's the back of your hand, but you never go back and acknowledge the good. And the thing is sometimes it was just as much. But for some reason, we focus more on the negative.
Right.
So that's where...
Interestingly enough, though, that's what then you in turn do with yourself. So when we learn to look at our positives, and again, and also honor your shadow side, but look at your positives, I feel like we will also do that in others.
Yes. I think it's a habit. It's a choice, and it's a habit.
Yes.
So we talked about... So one of the things is not comparing yourself.
Yes, so self-acceptance.
Yes. What is another thing that people can do or need to create a habit in doing to learn
Second
self-love?
thing, I truly believe learning to say no. As women, and this shows for men and women. I just want to say something about women. I think as women, we are so conditioned at a young age where it's always like, you gotta be nice. You gotta be nice. Right? So I feel like then you carry on where you think if you say no, you're not being nice.
You're bad.
You're bad. So I think that the learning to say no makes you more stand in your power. And when we stand in our power, that's a form of self-love. And I think the boundaries and discernment go hand in hand. Knowing when something isn't right for you, whether it's a job, whether it's a friend, whether it's a lover, a spouse. I mean, truly knowing even when your kids push boundaries, knowing when to draw that hard line. In a nutshell, I really think that is such a form of self-love. And I think boundaries are such a hard thing to create. Again, it's a practice. And as we become more comfortable with creating boundaries, I think we become more comfortable at really stepping into who we are.
Well, because people will always challenge your boundaries.
Always.
Always going to push back on your boundaries. Now, where you take that to the next level is, do you allow them to? Do you question your boundaries? Where you take the step in growing and being better is standing strong on your boundaries and why you have them.
Yes.
Recognize these are my boundaries because.
And I love that. Yeah. Know your why, right? And I tell a little story. Somebody had reached out to me on Facebook. Okay. And, it's part of the... So, this guy had slid into my DM and I was interested in him at first. I had checked. We were friends already. I didn't know him, though. You know how you have some friends you don't know?
Like they request and you're like, sure. You always like to have mutual friends. If I can have more than 10 mutual friends,
then you're like,
we'll accept. But
okay.
If I only have one
or zero, you're like, okay, where did this
new?
So anyway, we must have been friends a while ago though, because when I had gotten a DM from him, I was like, oh, who is this person? But when I had looked, I noticed we were already friends. I don't know at what point, and I guess that's irrelevant. I was interested. So then at that point, I'm scoping out his page and I'm like, ooh, okay. There were a lot of things about him that seemed positive and that I had liked. So we were going back and forth from Erie. Okay. He was from about an hour and a half away. Okay. So he had talked about coming up to Erie. He said, oh, I'd love to make it up to Erie to see you. Well, this was going on for about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, in the past, I would have kept this conversation going, okay?
Okay.
But, and this guy did nothing wrong. So I just want to I want to throw that out there. Okay. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. This is now me. This is where my discernment comes in. Okay. So I started thinking about it and I thought to myself, okay, we've been talking for a couple weeks. He lives an hour and a half away, not too far. He hasn't really set up a date with me. So he hasn't said, hey, when are you free? Let's kind of get something on the calendar.
Okay.
And because he didn't do that, I started thinking, you know what? For me, my discernment was like, don't waste my time. This guy is not
He's just
right
maybe
for
me.
Attention. I don't know what he was looking for. I truly don't. Okay. And I didn't stick around to find out because I was like, you know what? I'm like, for me, I'm over this.
Yes.
And so, again, he did nothing wrong. We had great conversations. But for me, and the point I'm at in my life, I feel like if somebody is interested in you, a man, and you're talking and you're going back and forth and it seems like you're having a good conversation and it's going on, like for me, I'm going to say after a week. I mean, I let this go a couple weeks and they don't set up a date with you. Like for me, that's where my discernment comes in and my boundary, and I say, don't waste my time. I mean, truly. Yes. So I cut this guy off, not in like a bad way or anything, but just like, okay, I'm done with that.
Right.
And again, it goes back to, where does your discernment lie? Yeah. And if you
It's
don't
different for
have
everyone.
it, it's different for everybody. And if you don't have discernment, we'll really start being mindful of it, because I will tell you, if you don't have some kind of boundary or discernment, you are going to be taken advantage of. And you are going to meet those time wasters and those boundary pushers.
And find yourself in situations that don't make you happy.
Yes. And it's finding that love for yourself and where's my bottom line.
Yes.
And again, not that anyone has to do something wrong for you to like, for me, that guy didn't do anything wrong, but that was on me, where that was my bottom line. Like, no, I'm not going to entertain this.
Well, and it's your life.
Yes.
You're the one living it. It's your, when people have excuses for where they're at in life, with people, and in the situations that they're in, because I truly believe that you are completely in control and in charge of your life. You and you alone. And this is true within jobs, because I don't know how many people, I always have people say to me, it really looks like you enjoy your job. It really looks like you love your job. I absolutely do. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be there. Now, I'm a single mom of 4 kids. I'm not sitting here using the excuse of saying, like, but I have to stay because what else am I going to do?
Right.
I'll find something.
Absolutely.
I'll find something. Why do people stay in jobs and situations that make you completely miserable? You have one life to live.
We have to have an episode on keeping ourselves stuck, because self-sabotage, keeping ourselves stuck, because that's huge. I love it. Like, get out of the victim mode.
Get out of it. Like,
quit making excuses. And again, people use their childhood as an excuse. At some point, you gotta just...
That's absolute shit. And that's shit, people. Because guess what? At some point, you have the choice to stop living in that and make a change.
Go from relationship to the shift.
To the shift, people. So stop living in a little victim mindset of, my parents did this to me. Oh, great.
So-and-so left me. Or, I mean, again, you have that time to grieve. Yeah. And I understand that. But then at some point, take accountability.
Could you imagine
let's be honest.
Power in how you feel when you realize, like, no, I'm in control. I am in control of who I'm friends with. I'm in control of who I'm in relationship with. I'm in control of where I work, the money that I make,
my education,
all of it. And we are. And here's the thing: time is not promised for any of us on this earth. It is limited. We don't know when the end is. Why, in God's name, would you spend your every single day being miserable? And I don't remember if I read this or somebody said this to me. And I try and make a habit of this every day. At the end of the day before I go to sleep, if I don't wake up in the morning, am I dying happy? Did I live my last
that's powerful.
Day the way, would this be okay? If today was my last day, would it have been okay? And so many times I have to be honest with myself and be like, you know what?
That's powerful.
Better. Yeah, I let this get in my way. I let this control my day. I let this control my emotions. And so the next day, I am mindful of that to do better. Of like, I gotta enjoy even the shittiest part of the day. I gotta find some joy.
Because those parts though can grow you. I pray, I meditate, and I feel that another thing, if you have a spiritual foundation, you believe in a higher power, something beyond you, the mishaps that happen in life, you will look at them and know they're to grow you, they're to help you.
Yeah. Well, and I think I might have posted this on my page the other day. I have to always sit and think, again, my source of belief is in God, and He has given me everything that I need for exactly where I'm at. Now, it's what I do with that. It's how I accept that. It's how I use that to help me to grow. And if I'm looking at it with this mindset of that I'm a victim, or that this is hard, or this is bad, or I'm just stuck here, I'm not using the love and the gifts and the absolute opportunities that He's providing me every day to be better.
Yes.
And I think that comes back around to, you've got to learn to love yourself enough to be able to accept where you're at, draw your boundaries, not compare to where everybody else is at.
So we have self-acceptance, we have discernment, we have boundaries. In the beginning, you've mentioned forgiveness. Let's talk about forgiveness.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Yep. So what is forgiveness to you? Let's pause for a moment, and even for our listeners, what is forgiveness to you?
I think for me, in its simplest form, is the ability to let go and not give something negative thought to it anymore. And that's really hard. And that means how people, because again, it's allowing and letting go and freeing yourself from the hurt someone caused you, from the pain that someone caused you, from the maybe position that somebody put you in. It is being able to look back and only see the good, and be able to let the negative part of it go. And both the other person and myself. I feel like that's what I think forgiveness is. And I think until you can do that, you haven't truly forgiven the situation or what has happened.
Yeah, and I think forgiveness comes in layers. I feel like just when you think you have forgiven that person, or, forgiven yourself even, I feel like something maybe will trigger it, whether it's a year later, months later, and it's that next layer. Yeah. I do truly believe in my heart of hearts when we carry around anger and we don't want to forgive and we think we're hurting another person. There's like a really good quote out there, and I'm probably not saying it exactly as it is, but when you carry anger, it is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yes.
And and it's true though. It's really eating away at you.
Oh yeah.
And it's coloring your life in the darkest of dark ways.
You know what I think a lot of times stops us from forgiving others is the opinions and the words of not only what we're saying to ourselves, but of others too, right? Because if you can forgive somebody, or you can allow somebody to, people are like, you're allowing them to get away with it. I'm not allowing them to get away with it. Or how can you forgive that?
So they're fueling. You're saying when these outside influences are in your ear, they're fueling the fire of what you're already feeling. I mean, really, you're already angry.
Don't let them back. And you're like, well, here's the thing. I know my boundaries. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm allowing. I know what forgiving this person does for me. I'm not doing it. I'm not allowing them to get away with anything. I'm allowing myself to be rid of the hurt, the pain, the negativity. I'm allowing myself to be done with that. Mm-hmm. I wish them peace. I wish them love. But I don't want them taking up space anymore in my life.
Absolutely, and in your body, because truly, when you have that anger, you feel that in your body. It kicks up all your cortisol. It's really bad for the mind, the body. I feel like that's where a lot of depression comes from, is like repressed anger. Yeah. But I also feel like it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel anger. Yep. It's okay to you can write a nasty letter to the person and rip it up. I mean, all of that is okay, because all of those are sources of healing.
Get it out.
Get it out, and you need to get out. I don't care if you're like beating your pillow. I mean, truly.
Yes. And give yourself the grace for that.
Give yourself the grace for that. Yes. And it's okay to feel your feels. You just don't want to be carrying them decades later, years later. I mean,
I know people too that they are so still mad about things that happened 10 years ago, and it's like, aren't you? I always say this.
You can hear it in their voice sometimes, that disdain. I love that.
Yeah, like, aren't you tired of carrying that around? And
what a heavy back. I
mean,
oh
my goodness, isn't that the whole like? My sources, God, isn't that the whole point? Not having to be able to forgive others and not carry those burdens. Let it go. Give it up to the universe. Give it up to God. Give it to the source.
Journal. Let it out.
Yes.
Kindness meditations.
Yes.
Because loving kindness meditation helps you forgive others, helps you really forgive yourself. Such a beautiful, I mean, you may even cry when you do one, but you need that. That's all cleansing.
Now, let me ask you, because some people are like, I've done it. It doesn't work. Well, you got A, do it continuously. But B, why something like that works is because that is going directly into your subconscious. That type of thing is what directly hits that to kind of be able to release that and then substitute.
Make new neural pathways. Yes. Is I will get a notebook. And I mean, I just start writing, and I don't stop until I feel like that. Again, I love to write, so that might not work for everybody. And these are cocktails. But for me, I feel like when I am upset about something and I just start writing, and I'm not judging what I'm writing. I mean, by the time I put the pen down, there is a space in my heart. Like, I do feel then I feel so much lighter, and I feel almost like I cleared so much space.
Yeah. Well, you are, because you've gotten it out of you. And I like, so you're...
And I don't judge it. No. I don't even read it. No, sometimes I don't even reread it. Yeah.
So I like, your method of it is the journaling and the writing.
And the loving kindness meditations.
Yeah. I am more of, I release that shit at night. Like, I gotta just talk to... I gotta talk to God.
I love it though. That's your release.
It's my release. So it's, instead of writing it, I'm saying there's no rhyme or reason. I'm all over the place. But I have released it in that sort of way to say, okay, this is on you now. Like, I've gotten it off of me, and whatever you now do with that, and wherever this leads, I have trust in that.
So I'm going to assume quiet, right? Your house is quiet.
Yeah. It's literally before I go to bed.
Is this a ritual? Are you laying in bed? Are you walk me through? So what are you doing?
Yeah, so it is always before I go to sleep. Now, I have moments like those. We all have moments in our lives where shit happens, and you're like, I'm talking to you now.
Oh, right.
I'm not waiting till bedtime.
I can't be waiting until 10 o'clock. We got to have a conversation now.
I've had that, but I always, before I go to bed, that is especially when things are heavy on my heart. Now, if I'm not dealing with something that day, I'm just like, thank you for this day, and whatever comes tomorrow, I have trust in that. But when it's the days where it's difficult or I'm going through something, it is my last things that I need to release. I remember I told you, is what are you doing before you go to sleep? Right. I got to release that.
Do you feel like it helps you sleep? I mean, truly, do you feel like after you kind of get that out, are you like you almost feel like you could sleep easy?
Good. Now I can, because I'm saying this isn't mine anymore to carry, it's yours. And so I'm going to go to sleep and it's not going to keep me up, and I'm going to start tomorrow and however day you want me to. And honest to God, and sometimes I'll text my friend Jackie, or I wake up and I'm like, it's gone. Like that anxiety, it's gone. And I'm like,
surrendering. I mean, I think surrender is one of the hardest things, and we need to have a whole podcast on that. Surrender is one of the hardest things, but that's exactly what you are doing. Literally every night, you're surrendering.
Yeah. Yep. And I
love that. That's super powerful.
I mean, we're like, you can't keep holding on to shit. You
cannot. You can't
keep holding.
It really will kill you. Dis-ease. I'm not kidding. I really. There's a book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And during the time when I was in yoga training, my teacher had mentioned it, so I had went and bought it.
Oh, nice.
And it talks about how our emotions, when we don't acknowledge them or move them, meaning like just really feel our feels, it gets lodged in the body. And as they pile up, sometimes it'll create pain in the body. It'll create disease in the body. And I believe that you got to let it go.
When I look back,
you have to find your peace.
Yeah. When I look back at times I have felt really bad, or I have been sick or really ill, there was usually some type of turmoil around that.
Interesting, you were aware that.
Yeah, well, not aware at the time. Aware now to look back and say, wow, like there is truth to that. Because I have heard that too, that a lot of illnesses come from how you are just feeling your anxiety and all that is coming from not letting go of things.
Absolutely. And surrendering. That's why I do think a spiritual foundation, whatever that is so crucial to really adapt to, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. I think what we're leaving listeners to today is to be, like we said, more aware of what your boundaries are, what you're saying to yourself or allowing others to say to you, being able to forgive, having grace for yourself, and understanding that it took us years to get to this place. It's going to take time to get you out of it if you're somebody that doesn't have all that love for yourself or doesn't have forgiveness. It's a constant journey.
Moments bring you to your next level. So let them happen. Embrace them. Maybe ask, like in those dark moments or those dark times, maybe ask that higher power or within yourself, what do I need to learn from this?
Yes. There's a lesson.
Where is this what is the lesson?
Yeah.
The quote.
Yes.
So, self-love may not happen overnight, but with time, it will settle itself into your heart. Yes, you may struggle, but you'll look back on these moments and see how they were stepping stones on your journey to being the best you. Yes, find what works for you. Find your self-love ritual. Thanks for listening.
Thanks. We'll see you next time.
If you have a story you'd like to share, or if there's a specific topic you'd like us to cover on the podcast, we'd love to hear your ideas.
Get in touch with us through email or our social media pages, links below.